I saw Backrooms and I stood up and I clapped when this thing ended. Oh my god, it's a real movie? This was a really refreshing watch. So many movies coming out this year have just been, look, it's that thing you know. It's that thing you know on the big screen. Isn't this so cool?
I clapped when I saw it.
I guess this counts too.
For example, I'm about to fart right now.
I clapped when I saw it.
A movie based on the Backrooms could seem like that same sort of IP cash grab if you didn't know who was involved. Director Kane Parsons, aka Kane Pixels, started off with an incredibly popular Backrooms ARG series, which this movie is an extension of. Movies based on internet horror do not have a good track record, and I think it's the writers and producers, etc., just not getting it, unlike this guy. The Backrooms is a simple idea, but if you used it in a movie to tell a good story with interesting characters and themes, you can make a creepypasta movie that's actually good. Is the Backrooms a creepypasta? I'm gonna give a little refresher on the Backrooms in general, then some spoiler-free thoughts before getting into more specifics and compare it to other internet horror, Gen Z era horror creepypasta adaptations. Then predict with my crystal ball what Hollywood is gonna do after this movie's success. Yeah, and it's telling me Sony's gonna make a play for the Walton Files movie rights. And there will be fistfights over the Shaw popcorn bucket. If you're not careful and you no-clip out of reality in the wrong areas, you'll end up in the Backrooms, where it's nothing but the stink of old moist carpet, the madness of mono yellow, the endless background noise of fluorescent lights at maximum humbuzz, and approximately 600 million square miles of randomly segmented empty rooms to be trapped in. God save you if you hear something wandering around nearby, because it sure as hell has heard you. This is the original description of the Backrooms posted on 4chan in 2019. In the years following, it sparked a lot of people's imaginations, leading to more and more lore being invented, different levels, entities, etc. It went from just this infinite office building to a whole universe, almost a new version of the SCP Foundation, cataloging all this different stuff in the Backrooms. What was interesting about the Backrooms, to me, when it started out, was that you were trapped in this infinite, unknown place that you could just randomly fall into, and maybe there's something coming after you. The version of the Backrooms that adds all the lore diminishes that feeling for me, but I won't knock people's fun. The integrity of the Backrooms lore is not something I'm that invested in, honestly. I am a very casual Backrooms fan. I think I might have seen a few of the Kane Pixels videos before going into this. That was a long time ago. From what I've seen, a lot of people have actually gone into this movie thinking it would be the wacky Roblox game version. Not the case. Kane Parsons brings in his own lore from his own ARG. And let me just say, Kane's Backrooms ARG is so impressive, not just for a high schooler, but for its time, for 2022 analog horror in general. Looking back at those other series, you can definitely feel a lot of the limitations the creators were working with. Backrooms, in contrast to, I don't know, the Mandela catalog, had full 3D, rendered super well, and clever use of the VHS filter to blend it in with these live actors. Yes, live action, something mostly unheard of from this genre. I watched it again to get caught up for the movie, and the story was, you know, what I expected from an analog horror. There's a shady corporation doing research into what these backrooms are. There are monsters running around, a researcher gets trapped in there and eventually goes berserk. The Backrooms ARG is still in canon with the movie, but there's a difference in how the story is told. The movie is less focused on the lore of the Backrooms and the company investigating it, and more on the characters. It felt grounded, if that's the right word. Even when we get to the wacky, supernatural stuff, the main character is a very, very flawed person, to say the least, and the filmmakers use all the fantastical Backrooms elements to sort of explore those flaws. That being said, with the bigger focus on character, a lot of the choices still feel like the storytelling you'd find in an on-fiction YouTube show. A lot goes unexplained, but in most cases, that's the point. They're inviting you to think about it and put the pieces together. It's very intentional. There's all sorts of motifs, big and small, to pick up on. I like seeing all the speculation online so far about what certain actions characters take or what certain weird Backrooms goings-on could represent thematically. I get the feeling they didn't want to hold the audience's hand throughout the entire story, which I'm all on board with. There is one part where they could have maybe benefited from some hand holding, maybe just a finger, I don't know. One scene kind of showing the progression of one of the character arcs, but that's my biggest complaint. It's a really good looking movie. Some environments might have been CG, maybe some of the first person stuff, but apparently a lot of the backrooms were practical sets built on a soundstage. They don't have all 99 levels with Huggy Wuggy or whatever is on the Backrooms fandom wiki, but they do have the pool rooms. Oh yeah, baby.
I clapped when I saw it.
All the intense, scary chase scenes are very well done. It's shot very well, great compositions. You know, it's an A24 horror movie. A slow burn, cheap jump scare free, bone chilling A24 horror movie. I'm a fan of those. That's all I'll say before getting into spoilers. So skip to this timestamp here, and I will see you then. Are they gone? The biggest thing that shocked me about this is that this is like half a Backrooms movie and also half an Everywhere at the End of Time movie. Yeah, Everywhere at the End of Time, it's this musical project that's meant to convey or simulate what it's like to have dementia. And dementia, memories being lost are a big theme throughout this movie. We see it in Mary's flashbacks with her mother. They play the Everywhere at the End of Time music. This tape that they use to mark the Backrooms is just like the tape on one of the album covers. And of course, the Backrooms themselves. The Backrooms in the movie contain the memories of places and even people. Of course, as more time passes, the memories fade more and more. We see relatively normal locations transform into the Backrooms over time in a few scenes. These people, the entities in the Backrooms, are all based on real memories and are distorted in some way. The big scary monster that people end up running from is a version of Clark, the main character. I read somewhere a theory that this is how his backroom double looks because it's based on other people's memories of him. His employees, his therapist, all view Clark as this big, angry, violent man when Clark himself sees it as the opposite. He sees himself as the victim in every situation. His memories of himself and his life are distorted, like what happens to the memories of the locations in the Backrooms. Even he kind of ties into that theme. And Clark is a really interesting character to follow. I don't expect like an 8 Crazy Nights redemption story, or for him to make some noble sacrifice on purpose to let the other characters escape. The Backrooms end up representing and bringing out the worst in Clark, not only in creating a monster that is him, but in giving him a place where he can just be in control with nobody to tell him no. It really worked as a way of exploring this guy's psyche and reminded me of another internet horror adaptation, No End House. Spoilers for No End House, by the way. It's actually very similar, with memories creating alternate versions of people and an antagonist trying to live his own messed up life in the other world. I haven't seen that many interviews with Kane Parsons, but I'm curious to know if he ever brought No End House up. If you consider the Backrooms a creepypasta movie, it might be the best one out there. Even with it being based on the web series too, it's a loose adaptation that uses the premise to tell a great story with characters and themes and such. You can't really say that about the Slenderman movie or The Rake, where it's just a bunch of random nonsense to fill up time, and then the monster shows up for maybe 3 minutes and doesn't even look how they're supposed to. Those movies were written by boomers and people who didn't really understand the creepypastas and how they could be used to tell a good story. The Backrooms itself serves a clear thematic purpose in a way no other creepypasta monster brought to film has. Not really a creepypasta, but also worth bringing up. Backrooms being based on a Zoomer internet horror thing also could have turned out like FNAF or Iron Lung, movies that, from the reactions I've seen, feel more like they're aimed at existing fans and no one else. There is a lot of passion from fans with those movies, but I don't think they'll be as well remembered as Backrooms. This movie has crossed the threshold of stupid Zoomer to a real movie in a way that nothing else has. There are probably execs out there looking at this movie and saying, how can we make one of these? I love old creepypastas and a lot of internet horror, and I'm very excited at the prospect of more worthwhile adaptations being made. I mean, there's a lot of good analog horror you could try to adapt, but somebody needs to make a good Russian sleep experiment movie. Imagine a Russian sleep experiment movie with the quality of this, and Ben Drowned, 1999, Mr. Widemouth, think about it, bro. But hey, broader internet horror, the SCP Foundation, The Sun Vanished, Daisy Brown, Local 58, Siren Head, Agamemnon Counterpart, Captain Coochie's Key Lime Pie. There's a lot you could pull from. go see Backrooms if you can. It's a really well-made movie that not only has a lot of passion put into it, but a lot of thought and craft. This is an awesome movie. As much as I talked about this starting a gold rush for creepypasta analog horror adaptations, I think it's showing studios you can hire some kid from the internet to make a movie and it'll do well. And other studios probably feel the same now, if that box office is anything to go by. So yeah, unlike the characters in the movie, the backroom situation makes me very happy. A movie based on some internet thing came out, and no matter what, it'll mean more of these get made. How about that post-credit scene where Captain Clark came out of the basement portal and he was like,
"I'm Captain Cookie now. Eat my key lime pie or else."
Chills, dude. Chills.
I clapped when I saw it.